Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
High school sports are back. The 2018-19 season kicks off, and you could watch every Proview Network broadcast live on the NFHS network. Every moment, from every game, from every sport, including all NMAA state championships. Get your highly discounted monthly pass now. Go to ProviewNetworks.com and sign up. Watch New Mexico's best.
Good morning, welcome to the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Coletti along with Ed Nunez. It's another Tuesday and it's another day that we're going to talk about sports here in the metro area. Of course, we cover high school to the nines, but first off, we're going to do something that we normally end up the show, and we will end up the show with the graphics and everything, but we're going to talk Lobo basketball first because of what happened over the weekend. Controversy hit the University of New Mexico, if you will. So this is going to be the only time that I'm going to do this. I've done it before in the past. I know he doesn't like it. The referee, Ed Nunez. We're going to bring him in to break things down referee-wise. How you doing, Ed?
Good, and you know, I happened to see that call online. I don't know, I wasn't watching it. Of course, I'm keeping up to date with. No, what was I can't remember what I was doing, but no, I was keeping up to. Oh, I was at my son's girlfriend's birthday party, but we're keeping up with it online. And then the conference did admit it was a wrong call. They did admit that. The over and back, because Jackson was not backcourt. He didn't have all 3 points across, to make it a backcourt violation. But in a bang play like that, as an official, I might have called that in the same way. But it was a wrong call. They did admit it later. But again, did you take care of business? To win the game. Anyway, in one possession, and Lobos would have had to secure the ball, get a shot, and then the 3-pointer hit at the end by Utah State was, I listened to the radio replay this morning of Robert Portnoy's yesterday, and I saw it. My son and I were watching, and it's like Hold'em, right? Hold'em is a contested 3, and they spread them out, and it was a great shot. And Anthony Mathis with 1.5 seconds left is not going to heave it from half court, and that's a prayer shot. It's a miracle if he makes that. So, they just can't find that defensive consistency in stopping the 3. They played better, right? It didn't add up to a victory. And, it seems like, again, this is an up and down team, mostly down, haven't found that mojo. And it doesn't get any easier tonight, I believe, against Fresno State. Is it tonight? I don't know if it's tonight or Saturday.
Yeah, they don't play till Saturday this week. So what we will do right now, because like I said, later on we'll break down the game. We'll also break down the women's game as well. But that particular call, I watched it live. I replayed it about 10, 15 times. And it's hard to tell from the angles when they originally show it. Now, and I bring in you being the referee. Now, what you were taught as an official, and you do an official, you explained one thing that was a little different than I was thinking, because you talked about who was it that caught the ball?
Jackson.
It was Jackson. So you're talking about he wasn't in the back court. Well, he never established himself in the front court.
He's in
What's
the air.
the rule on that? But the number two thing is when Mathis passes the ball, where is he? Because you got two.
See, I didn't
different-
see it. I
you
didn't
got
see it as
two
many times as
different
you
things-
did,
You
but-
got two different things going. You got where the ball came from. He passed it backcourt, and if he's in the backcourt, there's no backcourt violation because you're throwing it in the backcourt. Although, one can say, and I don't know what the rule is, because I know if you're out of bounds, if you're going out of bounds, you can fly to, as long as you don't touch the floor, you can save the ball by flying out of bounds. What's the rule if you're going into the front court? Do you have to establish that you're into the front court? Because Jackson's feet never touched in the front court. Hence, judgment, is he in the back court? And that's why I think the conference blew it. But when you look at the play, it looks like a backcourt violation at first, and then you have to watch it over and over and over again. It's not one of those definitive, they jack up the call.
No, and again, in real-time action, of course, they can slow it down. And the conference, they can slow it down a million times to show that it wasn't backcourt. It's supposed to be 2 feet in the ball, 3 points across. If you're across that line, is backcourt. But I would have thought the same thing. He didn't establish himself in the front. I might have called the same thing, and I would have been wrong. So that official at that level there called it backcourt, and the conference later said that it was not the right call. So yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of confusion, but again, it wasn't the right call. Is that one thing that Coach Weir said after the game that kind of raised my eyebrows a little bit, because I like Coach Weir a lot. I do. He said I feel like Sean Payton, the New Orleans Saints coach, that the controversial pass interference call that wasn't called at the end of the NFC Championship game. He said he kind of felt like Sean Payton, and
that was a little different, though. That was
that
was kind of an obvious, and even the player who did it said, "Yeah, I did that on purpose."
And
so,
they said
there's a little difference between having to replay a play, look at it 5 times, and see 5 different versions and have 5 different opinions, which I did.
Right.
So that's what was weird about this play, because at first I thought, that's an over and back call. That's for sure. Then I'm like, no way, that's not an over and back call. And it depends on how you saw it, but the officials don't have 5 angles.
And again, the way you described the play that happened with the New Mexico Lobos, that call there, you kind of like, but the pass interference is blatant, right? I mean, but
right in front of an official, no less.
Now they're saying that the ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage, and all kinds of other things on that New Orleans Saints final play, or not final play, but drive late.
Well,
in the
that
fourth
would
quarter.
change a lot.
Right, there was no
yeah.
pass interference then, but this play here is like, okay, you go back, and even me seeing it as a bang play like that, I might have called the same thing, right? And so that call there is more like, well, was it or wasn't it? We're still questioning. Was he established? And they're saying that no, it wasn't backcourt. So the conference admitted that was the wrong call, but I don't look at it like that call cost the game for the Lobos. I don't. Again, calls happen, and I'll say this: as officials are human, and one of the things that I read this weekend, officials are supposed to be perfect and get better from there, and that doesn't happen, right? We know that's not realistic. But
you were a good official, Ed, and everyone that I've talked to knows that. How perfect were you?
No, you know what? Les Williams, was one of our evaluators, right? And Les Williams called college ball at the women's level. And so when he came in after the game, he could stay on an hour, 2 hours on one call. The positioning, where you should have stood. One time at Highland, we had a very good crew, myself, Carlos Torres, and Mike Kleppel. That was a good veteran crew. And he came in, he said, you know what? I'll give you guys a 7. And he left. Usually he's in there 2 hours, and that's the best we ever got, right? So we miss things. Of course, you're going to miss them. You're going to miss. I will tell you this, honest to God's truth, I never made a revenge call on any team or a coach or a player, ever. Did I see them made? Absolutely. When I saw them made, I'm thinking to myself, hold on, it's going to be right now, because I know in my mind, there's no way, right? There's no way. And then we got to hang on for the next, and yes, it happens. We're human. They're human. I still say we, because I'll always consider myself an official. I haven't officiated.
And you should.
22 years. 22 years.
That was part of your livelihood.
So, so the camaraderie I still have amongst my officiating friends, I'll see them and we'll laugh, because only the officials that are in that locker room or on the field or on the diamond or on the track, they know what they're doing, right? Now everybody else can be, and it's gotten worse because of social media. Why did they miss that? My suggestion to anybody that has questions, and Dana Pappas would be the first one to tell you, the executive director of officials, go down to the NMAA and sign up. Sign up. We need more officials, right?
Right.
They need more officials in soccer, baseball, basketball, football. And you know what? It's a good time. If you love the game, you get to, it's some extra pocket money. You're not going to get rich. but you're in the game, and they need more officials. And so people that, again, blame officials for losses, my son and I would go back and forth. Now he's understanding that calls, sometimes there's going to be some human error. That one against the Saints, if that was indeed tipped at the line of scrimmage. But that one there was like, man, you got a helmet-to-helmet and a pass interference. And so, I don't know. You can go so many ways with so many calls, and it's not going to change one thing.
Alden, let's go ahead and run those graphics for the Lobos here. We might as well, since we've spent a little more time, might as well switch off segments here. And what was going to be the last segment, there's the game. And one of the reasons why I wanted to show this is Utah State comes in to the pit, which is one of the tougher places for a road team to play traditionally, and shoots almost 49%, where the Lobos shoot 39%.
You look at that. And so, again,
and the free throws were better, but they only went to the line 15 times. But 12 of 15, 80%, that'll get the job done.
Much improved, because they've been struggling from the charity stripe. But they just haven't, I'll say this, they haven't found their defensive niche. A guy, McQuatch Malawatch, has had definitely a sophomore slump, right? He hasn't played as well as we thought he would after last year's pretty good freshman season. Dane Kuiper, I think, I don't know if he scored Saturday, but he didn't score the game before. Neither did Malawatch the game before. So, that's a seniors whose three-point shooting they depend on.
Kuiper had 1 point.
Okay, so in two games.
He was 1 of 2. He was 0 for 4 from the floor.
2 games, 1 point.
Right.
For a guy that, it's a volume shooter when he gets it going.
Right.
But he goes through those. Remember last year? He went through that too, right? Where he couldn't buy a shot. They need that guy. And if he's not making any shots, it hurts the team. And I think McQuatch Malawatch, what do you have Saturday, Scott?
Malawatch had 12 points.
Okay. So 12 points in 2 games. It's a little bit better Saturday. But without, again, you got Mathis from 3. Keith McGee played.
Well, here's the other thing. Mathis was 6 of 11, 4 from 8 from three-point range, so he was pretty good.
Did his job. They started Keith McGee, I'm hearing, they're going to see more action with him. Again, though, look at the problems he's had. Okay, he had some disciplinary problems with Keith McGee. He didn't want us to talk about it. With Corey Manigault, he had 3 minutes on Saturday, right? They need that guy. They need Corey Manigault.
And he had 2 points in 3 minutes.
So he actually
produced.
And everybody's kind of counting him out against. I'm not going to count him out. I'm not. Somewhere along the line, they're going to break through. They're going to. I'm not going to say that Fresno State's a tough place to play. They're probably 8-point dogs on the road, maybe more. But I'm going to say they're going to break through sometime.
Yeah, it might not be Fresno State, because that's one of the tougher places to shoot because of the background, and Fresno State obviously is used to it. But I know that's. It kind of reminds me of a larger version of the Santa Ana Star Center, with the stands being so far away from the basket. I remember when I was still at UNM, we went to Fresno State, and the guys were talking about, man, this is a hard place to shoot. And it really is.
I think one of the things that you bring up that's an excellent point that people forget is the shooting background when kids go to the pit, right? And they haven't played a Dreamstyle Arena, whatever you want to call it.
This might be the only building in the Mountain West where the shooting background is so different from the others.
That makes a difference.
Yeah.
That makes a difference. It's like kids going to Dreamstyle Arena. They're so excited and hyped up, right? And the background and everything else is so different there. So, yeah, that's a good point.
Let's take a look at the game coming up. As you see, Fresno State, the opponent. Actually, let's go back to the last one. Didn't realize that Alden already had that up. I was looking at Ed, not the screen. So let's go back to that Fresno State graphic real quick. There we go. Fresno State 14-5, 5-2. Very tough at home, and hard to tell from that picture, the background. Also hard to tell because there's actually a lot of people in the background. But the background is very vast, and like I said, it's a larger version. It's about a 15,000 seat arena, but the lower bowl is almost identical to the Star Center. So you imagine like going out to the Star Center in March for the girls tournament, that's what they're shooting at.
That's a great point. And I think the other thing, though, for Fresno State, and I think New Mexico is still one of those teams that's still dangerous. Yes, they haven't put it together. Yes, they have a lot of talent. They haven't found their niche or their team chemistry, but I still think it's a dangerous team. I really do.
Let's go to the next one as we had up before. This is the women's game the other day, and how about this? This is a tough place to play. Lobos, I don't know if they were favored or if it was going to be a tight game, but the Lobos go in and win a close one at Utah State, 78-75. Utah State falls to 5-2 in conference. The Lobos 7-1 and 17-2.
finally starting to get some love in the top 25. I think they were number 31. I saw the polls that Van Tate had on in his sports program last night on Channel 13. But look at this too, that Asia Robertson only had 7 points, and that's been their leading scorer all year, and they have a very balanced
And they
scoring.
still get 78 points. And Jayla Everett, 22 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals, Mountain West Player of the Week.
They've got a lot of different parts. You know, the sophomore Jalen De La Cerda hasn't really played as well, but they've had Nike Magruder come off the bench. She's given them good minutes. Jason Nunn has been Jason Nunn. So Elise Hurst, after a pretty good start, has kind of, fallen back, but it doesn't matter with the balance that they have. And I think, people are starting to really notice this team, and I'm hoping they're going to get the recognition. They have to keep winning. I thought they lost a couple weeks ago, and I can't remember what it was. I think it was
UNLV.
They shouldn't have lost that game. They shouldn't have lost. They're better than UNLV, but there's going to be a little, brick in the road here and there. And they've had a fine season.
Well, the thing is, the coach and all the players will tell you UNLV might be the second best team in the conference.
That's true. They gave a pretty good game here.
And they always have better size and, unfortunately, better athletes
than
UNM has. Because, hey, let's face it, it's not hard to recruit the UNLV.
But I'll say this, though. I think you're right about that. But if you look at Asia Robertson at guard, I mean, you're going to tell me she's less of an athlete than anybody in the conference? I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
No. That would be a no. And one more thing before we throw it to break, back to the infamous over and back that wasn't called. A lot of people call it conspiracy. There's other people who bet on games. A friend of mine actually said, well, if you want to look at it the other way, maybe Utah State was trying to throw the game. They missed 3 layups, including one layup where the guy shooting the ball was the only guy in the key.
Those things always crack me up, man. There's
but I'm just saying,
I know.
Hey, he's throwing the game. He missed that layup.
Yeah,
he should have made that. There was there was literally no one in the key.
Yeah.
And the Lobos tried to take advantage of that one, but you don't see him miss layup like that.
No, but
he also tried to dunk when he shouldn't have, so that was kind of a bad decision on his part.
And there's going to be people who have conspiracy. Oliver Stone would love those conspiracies.
And the Lobos missed layups too. So I'm just saying,
no, I know it's
conspiracy out there. With the betting and the gaming and everything, where you can bet on games here.
That's right.
In New Mexico, hey, there's going to be that one person that says, hey, that guy's throwing the game.
Or 200, because again, that's when you mention that gambling. I mean, point spreads at the end of the game. Sometimes you cover, and all of a sudden a field goal or a 3-pointer or a half-court shot ruins your whole spread. So I get it.
Let's take a break. We will come right back with more on the Sports Desk. We'll get to the high school polls in just a moment. You're watching the Sports Desk. First, the top 10 plays of the week from Dreamstyle.
To us. Look at this. Luera, a little chip and a finish out in front, and a mistake by Servo. Ferguson top of the key, a little crossover dribble between his legs. Ferguson in trouble. Now Ferguson gonna fire at the buzzer, and he knocked it down. How about it?
Adela splits 3, scoops at the buzzer, and scores, and is fouled. Reyes Herrera.
Sent across on the right foot, and Fuentes is going to put it away.
Patiently get it into the paint.
Yeah, they ran a nice offense that time.
Crazy. They don't want Tapia to catch fire. Gonna pull up for another 3. Off the window, yes!
Second, Spartan's got to beat the buzzer. He goes all the way, yes!
Throws it away to Patterson. Here comes Patterson with 4 seconds. Patterson down the lane, lays it up, and he's on his way to Air Force. First one. Patterson, a terrific shooter, makes both of them. It is a 2-point lead. Ramos will launch it. If it goes, they win. It does not, they do not. And a terrific game ends. Rio Rancho beats Atrisco Heritage 73-71. Think about this, Adam. They get it to Gelate. Gelate's going to pull up on a jumper. Got it!
Left. Neely fires a corner three. It's an air ball. Rebound, Jesse Murphy taken away. Tenorio three.
Oh my gosh!
Tenorio for the win. Holy cow! Bernalillo wins 59-58.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Talk to State Farm agent Greg Shamus today.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this? Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
This is Coach Borrego of the Charlotte Hornets. Hello to all you parents out there in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I want to congratulate 38 years for the AYBL. You guys are doing a great job. You've shaped a lot of lives, young men and women, and you'll continue to do that. Parents, get involved, sign your kid up. It's a great program. It helped shape who I am today, helped shape me as a basketball player, as a coach. So get out there, sign them up. Have a great season. Good luck to everybody.
The Barley Room, proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
The service department at Gala Chevrolet is clean, modern, and ready for you. Our master technicians service every make and model, including certified service on any GM vehicle. Service done right the first time, every time, right here at the all-new Gala Chevrolet.
Back here on the sports desk here on ProView Comcast 26, Facebook Live. You can also watch us later on YouTube. So I'm Scott Galletti along with Ed Nunez, Alden Iowani and the crew all here. Jason Pohl And, of course, we have Josh Brown, and Adam Deal is in the house, so he's not setting picks yet on our screen, so
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Not yet, yes, that is true. So now let's look at the polls. Not Jason Poll's polls, but these are the NMOT polls. Manny Lucero putting them out this morning, and you got in girls, you got Texaco still number 1, Pecos, Penasco, Clayton, and Mescalero. The top 5 pretty much the same.
Texaco hasn't moved from that spot, I think, since the polls started coming out, so not much change there.
Take a look at 3A now, and in 3A, you got Robertson still at number 1, Tucumcari number 2, Santa Fe Indian 3rd, Hatch Valley is up to 4, Tularosa 5, West Mesa and Tularosa switching places.
Yeah, not much. Again, Robertson's been on top there for several weeks, so yes, not much change there as well.
Let's go to 4A, and in 4A you have Las Lunas still number 1, Gallup, Kirtland Central, Highland up to number 4 now, Pewaukee is number 5, and Silver number 6, St. Pius down to number 7.
Hope Christian at number 9. So Las Lunas under Marty Zeller, well-deserved number 1 ranking. We mentioned this last week. James Yotis mentioned that. He lost a lot of seniors last year and still has them ranked number 1. Marty Zeller, one of the best coaches we've seen in this state, no question.
Absolutely. Let's go to 5A now on the girls' front. And in 5A, you got Hobbs up to number 1 now. You got West Mesa number 2. Piedra Vista is number 3, even though they beat West Mesa. And La Cueva falls to number 4 after they fell last week.
Okay, so, you know, Piedra Vista 69, West Mesa 56, beat them by 13. And, you know, the only way, and it was done last year in the quarterfinals by Rio Rancho, head coach Scott Peterson and the Rams. They stopped the drive and kick. And you know, you're going to have an off game once in a while, right? So if you're West Mesa head coach Manny Otero, probably glad to get it out of the way now. I mean, you know, rarely do teams go undefeated. You want to go undefeated, you don't want to lose. But it's a wake up. I always say that losing kind of wakes us up, right? We don't, you know, we get complacent. We start thinking we can't be beaten, and all of a sudden, bam, somebody beat you by 13 on the road. Road games are hard too to win.
Right.
And I think, yeah, give Piedra Vista, by the way, the Panthers, give them credit. I'm not trying to downplay what they did, but I think for the Mustangs, it kind of refocuses us, right? I think it does.
I'm glad you brought that up because we've talked about losses in the past being motivators. This early in district, I think it's definitely a help, not a hurt to West Mesa because obviously it only dropped them a spot in the polls.
Yeah, right. You know, I think they've held the number 1 spot for, you know, they went down to Hobbs and beat them.
It shows that the coaches have respect, and, you know, some of the coaches just kind of, you know, take a dart and throw it to a board and, you know, see what happens. But here it looks like the coaches looked at, well, Piedra Vista beat them, but West Mesa only has 1 loss. Piedra Vista has 2, although they have 18 wins. And, you know, Hobbs, well, we'll move them up, and we'll keep West Mesa at number 2. So I think they got it right.
Well, if you think about it, okay, so West Mesa beat Hobbs and Carlsbad early in the year, right? So I think it does 2 things. So if you're West Mesa head coach Manny Otero, you can go tell your team, hey, we're not that good, right? We're not. So you know, refocus them there. And the other teams in 5A, they can say, well, look, they can be beat. They're not invincible. It gives them hope. You know, and I'm sure that they thought, you know, they could be beat anyway. But it's a 13-point loss on the road at this early in district, like you said, could motivate and refocus West Mesa.
So now let's go to the boys in 2A. Pecos still number 1, Texaco at number 2, Newcomb, Estancia, Santa Rosa up to number 5.
Pecos still number 1 there with Ira Harge Sr. They've won 2 in a row, looking for the trifecta this season. And we mentioned how hard it is to get 1. You know, as soon as they won 1, they wanted 2, and now Coach Harge is looking maybe a possible 3-peat. So we'll see what happens. Good teams in that class, though.
And Manal in the others category.
Right, they're right there at number 11, along with Mescalero and Alamo Navajo. So there's some good teams in that class.
Moving on to 3A on the boys' side. And in 3A, we got St. Mike's back at number 1. Hot Springs is number 2 now. Navajo Prep number 3. They were number 1 a week ago. Sandia Prep is 4th. Tularosa is 5th.
Hot Springs was at the Hope tournament a couple weeks ago. And Wingate, Shiprock and Hot Springs had a game that went down the wire. Hot Springs was down by a lot, and then they came back, and they ended up losing at the end there. But St. Mike's under David Rodriguez has also been up and down. They had some games before district started where they didn't play very well and
bumped them out of the top.
Bumped them out of the top. They got it back though. So give them credit. And I look at Sandia Prep there under Marcos Rivera, the former St. Pius assistant coach there, number 4. So he's built a good program there in 2 years, Coach Rivera has. I got him credit.
4A on the boys' side, the NMOT coaches poll. Las Lunas still number 1. Hope is number 2 now. Gallup 3rd. Silver 4th. Bernalillo is at number 5. And then you got Valencia, Espanola Valley, Highland up at number 8 now. Artesia 9 and Valley number 10.
I did the Valley Bernalillo game last Wednesday, I believe, with Roger Holian. That game came down. So Bernalillo's up by 10, and all of a sudden Valley has a furious rally. They're up by 2 with 8 seconds left in a broken field. Joanta Tenorio for Bernalillo with 1.5 seconds left hits a 3-pointer to win. Now Bernalillo's missing Luis Villegas, one of their better guards. He tore an ACL. He's out. C.E. Oyeku for Valley was out, and they miss him. They miss his slashing. But I'll tell you one thing: when they play at Valley, Coach Coleman, I don't care who they play, and before the game, he was telling Roger Holian that they're young and they're not very good, and all of a sudden they stormed back from a 10-point deficit, and they were up by 2 with a chance to win. So that district there, though, if you look at Hope, the victories that they've had the past week, they beat Bernalillo. They beat them pretty good, too. They beat Highland. And so, we asked what was the effect going to be of them playing different teams. I've got Hope and Valley on Thursday at Valley. So, but when you play Hope, it's that defense. I don't care who's on that team. The 16 championships that Coach Murphy has won, it's always about defense, and their defense is so good. So we'll see what happens Thursday night against Valley.
Moving on to 5A. And in 5A, we got Las Cruces number 1, Cleveland 2nd, Volcano Vista 3rd, El Dorado at 4th. Atrisco drops down to number 5. Rio Rancho up to number 6. Santa Fe drops to number 7. Hobbs 8. Roswell 9 and Clovis 10. So Rio Rancho very impressive in that victory against Atrisco Heritage.
You know what? I was watching that game. That game could have gone down either way. Atrisco Heritage, we mentioned Brooks, Sutphin, Gaxiola. They have so many weapons on that team. They're offensively they're potent. They can really score a lot of points. Patterson, David Patterson, and I watched Clay and Brady Patterson. David might be, and I'm saying this is saying a lot, might be the most impressive of all the Pattersons, and here's some highlights for us.
Yeah, take a look at the highlights as it was just back and forth action early going as Rio Rancho was pounding it inside to Blaine Gallegos, and what a game he had. But Patterson, when he is on, he is on. I'll tell you who impressed me, Owen Only had a very good game.
The nephew of former Lobo Royce Only, he played very well. You mentioned Gallegos, Patterson, Josiah Ramos, boy, he can fill it up for Atrisco Heritage. He can really score the basketball.
Yeah, one of the things that I was mentioning to Brian O'Neill about this, and even James Yoda, is perhaps in this game, Patterson was trying to do a little too much in terms of being the point guard. And I think, he's a great point guard, but if he puts the weight on his shoulder when he doesn't have to, that's when he gets into trouble. But when he's just freewheeling, he's unstoppable.
I think that's one of the things that James Yoda said, that he had an interview with Wally Salata, and Wally said David Patterson gets into trouble sometimes when he tries to do too much. But gosh, when you see
I say force things, it's like he's trying to do too much to help his team, where just let the game happen, because when he does, that's when he is really, really good.
Yeah, don't force the action. I mean, he's so long and lanky and has some athleticism at that size too. He's very difficult to contain. I think that's why he, to me, might be the best of the Patterson brothers, and they were all good.
And at Atrisco, one of the things that they are lacking this year is a star point guard, which they had a year ago, lost to graduation, but they had a key turnover in overtime that led to Patterson's free throws.
Right. Yeah, and those are such key things, Scott. A turnover here, missed call there. That's what these district games come down to oftentimes, and this game went into overtime. Look at Patterson's move right there. That's so sweet.
Yeah, it goes to the left, goes to the right, scoops it up, and he's got that underhanded scoop down. And then they did that inbounds play to Gallegos twice. The first time it hit the backboard, they called a foul. And then they tried the same play on the other side, and they ended up getting it in. So
thought he got a rebound, too, a real key rebound there, Blaine Gallegos.
Yeah, he did down the stretch. But that inbounds play, they did it twice, and the second time was the charm.
Right, and, that's what it comes down to, some great execution by Rio Rancho down the stretch.
This is the turnover I was talking about, and this would lead to a Patterson layup that would put him to the line. He would make both free throws, and, an 87%er with the game on the line, Brian O'Neill was saying he ain't missing. He didn't.
No, that's right. And that's a guy you want at the charity stripe in those situations. As you mentioned, we mentioned that too. Comes down right to free throws too.
Right.
And sometimes I'll say this again. In watching the games that I watch, the girls players in high school take much more time on their free throws than the guys do. I think they have much better form. They bend the knees. They get to feel the ball. Where I think some guys, the guy players at the high school level, I don't know if they concentrate as much on free throws as as they should.
Right.
Those are free shots, man. They really are. So that's the only free shot you're going to get during the game. There's some more highlights there.
Yeah, this is the Cleveland Volcano game. And how about the road team going into the opponent's gym and winning? Rio Rancho did it. And in this game, Volcano did it on no less a last-second shot by Jelante Gray, who missed a couple of shots and a couple of free throws. Before that, he atoned very well.
3-year lettered as a sophomore. Might even lettered as a freshman. I'm not sure. So when he has the ball in his hands, that's the guy you want to take that shot. It was a great mid-range open jumper, and Jelante Gray just drained it. Look at Josh Terry, man. Big guy like that draining threes. That's almost
Don't you love that kid?
I do. He's one of my favorite players.
He really is.
Yeah.
Because he works so hard.
Yeah.
Even James Iotis talks about that.
Look at that. There's another one for him.
He's a big guy. He shuffles his feet. And, the one thing that we noticed from the Metro tournament, he's starting to shoot more and more three-pointers. And I bring that up because he's drawing the defense out. And everyone knows if he wanted to dish it off and then go post up, he could be dangerous that way.
And think about it. Look at his. We mentioned his thighs. That's a left tackle right there. And he's very nimble for a big man. It surprises me the moves he makes, the up and unders, and the jump hooks, things like that.
This was a fun one to watch as Volcano had a big size lead, but what normally happens when Cleveland's down? They're able to put that trap on. And James Iotis and I talked about this on our show from 10 to 11 on Saturdays on ESPN Radio 101.7 The Team High School shows the fact that Cleveland may not be deep enough to put this trap on the whole game. So they use it in spurts, and when they use it, the other team doesn't know what to do.
I think that's a good point because the guys he brings off the bench, Davison, Moreno, Gonzalez, they're good, but they can't cover the ground that Munn and Mohammed can. That's a very good point. But when they do use it in spurts...
Well, I never thought of it that way until James brought it up, and I got to think, it's like, no wonder they don't use it all the time. Because if they did, no one would score against them.
Well, think about it. Nakai Smith as well. Throw him in there too, right?
Right.
And Josh Terry. I mean, he's not going to be one of your front guys, but on the back end
look
of
at
that,
the crowd reaction, the 3 to tie the game, and this is when it was really exciting. Not that the whole game wasn't exciting, but, Cleveland looked like they were going to pull out the victory here, but Volcano Vista got a break.
This was key.
Yeah.
That was so big.
Throw down court, and there's Jelante Gray with the game winner.
Beautiful shot. Beautiful. So yeah, a guy like that that's been around the program, you're not surprised when he makes plays. But both teams have veteran players. Gray and Madrid, for Volcano Vista. Deathridge has played so well. He impresses me.
Right.
He really does. And then you got Mohammed, Nakai Smith, Munn, Terry. They've played together for a long time, so they know each other. So when they go, when they play each other, that game is going down to the final buzzer, final possession. And, James Iotis mentioned this about coaching in the final possession. He mentioned a lot of things last week, and they made sense, because it does come down. Greg Brown's a great coach. Sean Jimenez has been around. Wally Salata, Adrian Ortega. The coaches in those, and Ray Rodriguez, I know they're struggling. They are struggling. But Coach Rodriguez has, 30-plus years of coaching experience. So that district there is just loaded, not only with some top-end level playing talent, but also some coaching talent as well.
As we march our way to the buzzer, we will take a break and come back with some of the district standings here on the Sports Desk.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 10,000 homeowners improved their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club, or DreamStyleRemodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this? Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog! Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
High school sports are back. The 2018-19 season kicks off, and you could watch every Proview Network broadcast live on the NFHS network. Every moment, from every game, from every sport, including all NMAA state championships. Get your high pass now. Go to ProviewNetworks.com and sign up. Watch New Mexico's best.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Talk to State Farm agent Greg Shamus today.
Back here on the Sports Desk, I'm Scott Galletti along with Ed Nunez. Time now to look at some of the district standings. Most of the districts, if not all, got started last week. Let's take a quick look at some of the lower division districts and then plow our way through to 5A. 3A District 5, Sandia Prep won their first 2 games. They're 7-10 overall. Let's go to the next one. We got 4A District 5, Los Lunas 1-0, St. Pius 2-0 to start.
That's that's girls, that's boys, right?
This is girls.
Girls. Well, you know, I look at Pius and Los Lunas in that district there, and Bill Griego at St. Pius, you know, he has Maya Trujillo. She's been playing on the varsity, I believe, since a freshman. Tough player, one of the best players in that district. But again, we mentioned, you know, Phil Griego he's been at Pius, gosh, 16, 18 years there, a long time. So he's got his hands full there with Los Lunas and Marty Zeller. So I'm trying to, I think they played at the Hope tournament and Hope won. So Hope's already, I'm sorry, Los Lunas beat St. Pius at the Hope tournament.
Mhm.
So Los Lunas has already won up on them, and they'll play 2 more times before the end of the season.
4A District 6. And in District 6, Highland getting off to a good start, 2-0 along with Valley. Both teams 10-6 overall. Del Norte is 1-1. Hope Christian 1-1.
Hope Christian has played a pretty tough schedule, and James Yotis mentioned about Highland. He was on the show last week, and he said Highland's a class of that district. That he wouldn't be surprised if they went into a quarter or semifinal. He wouldn't be surprised there. So Valley, they're 2-0 district right now, but Kaylee Crawford, Brooklyn Crawford, Coach Lonnie Neal, Highland. I don't know if they have the depth to make a deep run, but it's interesting to see all these teams all in the same district together. To me, so we'll have to see how things end up.
Let's move ahead to 5A and go to District 1. District 1 has Rio Rancho 1-0. Volcano is 2-0. Atrisco Heritage 1-1. Cleveland 0-1, but they're 13-6 overall. And Volcano at 2-0, they're 14-4. But Rio Rancho, always a team that sticks around on the girls' side. They're 11-8.
Well, Volcano Vista at 14-4, and they have a little bit overall better record. They did play the third place game at the Metro tournament about a month ago, and Volcano Vista beat Rio Rancho. Rio Rancho has Laura Gutierrez. She can score. The freshman Hawkins for Rio Rancho. I can't remember her first name. Sophie, I can't remember. But anyway, Coach James Yoda said she's the fastest freshman in the city. So once she develops, they need another score. Laura Gutierrez that day against Rio Rancho had 6 threes. Well, she really could shoot, but they don't have that other scorer that can create their own shot. And once the Hawkins, the freshman, gets acclimated and find out what she's about, she's going to be a major threat.
Perhaps the most intriguing district now all of a sudden because of what happened. District 2, Piedra Vista, they're 2-0. Farmington 2-0. You got La Cueva 0-1. West Mesa 0-1. How about Piedra Vista 18-2 overall, and then Farmington 18-3 overall?
And La Cueva 15-2. They lost to West Mesa. Look at that district, okay? So look at that. Those 3 teams there, 4 teams, and El Dorado, they're really under Rich Harbin, they're having a tough season. But Kai Ingram did come back last week, but was the same ankle, but not as bad. But you got to wonder about that ankle. I mean, it was just severely sprained last year, and there may be a moderate sprain this year. But you kind of wonder how much explosiveness and things like that. She'll get it back, but when you're playing on that thing, you don't get to heal, and she can't heal right now. But I'm really intrigued by Farmington, and look at that. Look at their overall records. Look at all 4 of those teams. There's going to be a real dogfight there, man. There really is.
Absolutely. And let's go to District 3. They're far ahead in terms of games. Mayfield 5-0, Alamogordo 4-1, Oñate 4-2, Centennial 2-3, and it's tough seeing Las Cruces only 2-3 in district and below 500 at 8-11.
They lost
overall.
a lot. They lost a lot. Coach
I know they did.
Yeah, they lost a lot there, and we're not used to seeing them there at that position. And I guarantee they won't be there long. He'll bring them back. I had a chance to see Alamogordo at the Las Lunas tournament. Faith Silva, one of their guards, had 39 points 2 weeks ago. So she can really score.
Let's go to District 4. Hobbs, Carlsbad, Clovis, Roswell haven't started conference play, district play. Hobbs 19-1, that's why they're number 1.
Okay, the only loss that they had was to West Mesa on the Emily Burks 25-footer for West Mesa at the buzzer. So you got to look at Hobbs, Carlsbad, Piedra Vista, La Cueva, West Mesa, Farmington. Man, this is going to be one heck of a 5A girls tournament. It really is.
I think so.
Yeah, because Hobbs is still mad about that loss. When you lose at the last second shot like that,
especially at home.
You know that you replay it and you're like, there's no way we should have lost that game. Then I'm sure they're thinking too when they lost Piedra Vista, like, oh, we wanted to be the ones to get revenge on them. So there's a lot of things around the way there. But 19-1, Carlsbad, one of their losses to West Mesa, right? So look at Carlsbad and Hobbs are going to have a fight in that district, like Piedra Vista, West Mesa, Farmington and West Mesa are going to have a fight. And you know what? Competition makes you better, doesn't it?
So it does.
Those would be some great games to see.
All right, let's go to District 5 now in 5A. And in District 5, you've got Sandia and Albuquerque, both 2-0. Manzano 1-1, Capital 1-1, Rio Grande 0-1, Santa Fe 0-2, and Sandia up to 10-6 overall.
Sandia again under Lee Kettig. Look at Albuquerque High under Doug Dorme. Now their overall record's only 4-11, but they're 2-0, and in a district that people are having some tough seasons there. Santa Fe 0-2, and Rio Grande hasn't won a game, and I don't think since last 2 seasons. I'm not sure. Coach Collins is trying to build a program there, but it's hard to build when you don't have the numbers. It's very hard. I feel for Coach Collins at Rio Grande. So Sandia to me with V&A Cumber and Sapira Broussard is definitely the class of that district for sure.
Time now to go to the boys' side. We quickly go to 3A District 5, and you got Sandia Prep still at the top spot. They're 9-9, 2-0. And Cuba, we don't talk about them much, but they're 10-5 and 2-0.
Cuba Rams, you know, they're I think they changed coaches. Ron Molina, our cameraman, is from there, and he said they had a coaching change. But they used to have a great tournament around late December, January, early January. Great tournament up there. I'm sure they still play it. So yeah, Cuba is making some noise there in that district.
Let's go to 4A District 5, and in 4A District 5, you got Grants and Los Lunas, both 1-0, Valencia 2-0, and Grants 10-8, Los Lunas 15-3, Valencia 13-7. I think of those three teams, I'd still have to go with Los Lunas being the more solid team and the senior-laden team.
I wouldn't look at their overall record. You know, 15-3, and we mentioned they have Zeller, Garcia, Haywood, Darius Haywood. They've got some players, and you know they've got a great coach, Travis Julian, also having coached at Manzano as well, and runs a tight ship there, man. That guy, defensively, they play so well. They really do. St. Pius was, you know, they were rolling for a little while. They got to the Hope tournament, and I think they've dropped 3 straight. And you know, their sophomore guard Jonah Arnett's kind of hit a wall, so hopefully he can start playing a little bit better.
And we also got to bring up Belen, a team that was in the championship game a year ago, and you know, this team is 7-12.
They lost a lot too. Obviously, they lost a whole bunch from their senior. They had, what a team they had, beating Espanola Valley for the championship. And man, Espanola Valley, what was the attendance at the pit that day?
About
13, 14?
13, 14, yeah.
And you know, so they had to beat the whole town of Espanola. They really had a very good team though. So, but Belen lost a lot from their team last year.
4A District 6 looks like this. Hope Christian 2-0, 11-7 overall. Valley 1-1, Del Norte 1-1, Bernalillo 1-1, and Highland 1-1.
Okay, so I talked to Highland beat La Cueva Saturday. Happened to run into La Cueva assistant coach Steve Ortega Saturday afternoon right after the game. And he was telling me, he said, you know what, Highland's for real. Good starting 5. Coach Woody's second year there at Highland. But again, we got Hope Christian against Valley. Bernalillo lost their star guard. They're still 12-5 overall. Albuquerque Academy, Coach Herron's first year there. They're struggling overall, but I still think Del Norte's a force to be reckoned with too. But you know what? Ever since they've kind of gone up and down the last month when they started out really well. So I think that district too. I'm going to sit there and tell you though that you know everyone was intrigued and interested that Hope joined. You know, Valley and Bernalillo and Highland, right? They're still the favorites in that district, right? I mean,
they have to be the favorites. Yeah, they have to be the favorites. So they've had a hard season. They were actually 9-7, and you know, now they're 11-7. We'll see who can bump them off, if anybody, in district.
That's right. And okay, so remember, they were under 500 for the Hope tournament. Won the tournament, right? They won 3 in a row, and that's when they made their move. Was last year at the Hope tournament. They lost.
It's when they make their move every year. And whether they're good or decent or what, they always make their move after their own tournament.
Well, you know, and the advantages
every year.
And I think the advantages they have, they brought back Nidafin, they brought back Dockery, and I was kind of down on Colin Evans because he wasn't scoring. But man, that guy's turned into a Magic Johnson playmaker, I'll tell you that.
Yes, he has. Let's quickly go through 5A, District 1. Volcano, Rio Rancho, Atrisco, Cleveland 0-1. I'm sure that will change quickly, but against who? As Atrisco and Cleveland will go at it, and that'll be a big game.
No, every game in that district, you know, is going to be tough. You know, Cleveland, we mentioned, is struggling, but Volcano, gosh, we saw that with Rio Rancho and Atrisco last Thursday, went to overtime. So I'm looking forward to those games. Every game in that district is going to be just a fight till the end, last possession, whoever gets it last. So, and that's what James Yoda said that. That's where coaching comes in as far as possessions. What are we going to run? How are we running it? What's the execution out of bounds, inbounds play? All those things matter at the end of the game. They really do.
District 2 and 5A, and this is El Dorado at 2-0, La Cueva 1-0. You got Piedra Vista 1-1. This is going to be a very interesting district as well, but El Dorado with the overall record of 12-4 has to be looked at as a favorite.
I think so too, and they were saying that they have to develop one more scorer. They've got Valencia and Quintana.
They don't have enough?
Yeah, they do, but you know, compared to all the other firepower everybody else has, they probably need one more scorer.
But when you got Valencia and Quintana scoring 50, 60 points in a game between them.
It's usually enough.
Yeah, usually it is. Let's go to District 3 now. And in District 3, William Benjamin's Las Cruces Bulldogs lead the way, still undefeated at 19-0, undefeated in district at 5-0. Mayfield, though, making a push. They're 10-9 overall, but they're 4-1 in district. And that's a team usually that plays a tough schedule, Ed, traditionally. And now they're starting to make the turn.
Yes, you know what? They very much are. Again, if I don't mention William Benjamin and Las Cruces Bulldogs, man.
We'll get a tweet.
Oh yeah, 5-0, 19-0 overall, and that's as you mentioned, Mayfield starting to make a little run there. But somebody asked me the other day, Mike Adams has rapid fire at the end of the game, at the end of the show on 610, and he asked me, is Volcano Vista the best team in the state? And I said no, I think it's Las Cruces, and it is right now.
District 4. No games yet in District 4, but Hobbs 15-5. Don't forget about them. Roswell having a good season at 15-5. And how about Clovis up to 14-6, and even Carlsbad 13-7.
All those teams have winning records in that district, and you mentioned Hobbs, and people still quake when they hear Hobbs and Hobbs Eagles in the press, and they're not the same Hobbs Eagles of years past, but that's.
Well, people quake because of the building that you see on your screen also.
Great picture, by the way.
Ralph,
where the benches.
No, that was Jeff Grammer's picture, by the way, when the Lobos played up there. But Ralph Tasker Arena, quite a venue.
Benches underneath the basket, which is totally unusual for any venue.
Yeah, it is. But it's a great venue. District 5 and 5A looks like this. You got Santa Fe 2-0, Sandia, Rio Grande, Capital, Albuquerque, all at 1-1. How about Manzano? Can they get out of the hole?
They started out so well.
I know they did.
Dominic Romero, they won the Joe Armijo Classic, and since then, it's been up and down.
They looked pretty good doing it too. That was the thing.
They
looked like
did.
They were really building on something, but
What was funny is that was just after Dakota Powell and Jack Blankenship came out from football, and those two, Blankenship took it to the hole just a couple weeks ago, and man, slammed it down. And so I don't know. I think they're missing one more guard there, one more scoring guard. I don't know if they can pull themselves out of that. Mario Armendariz in Rio Grande struggling a little bit. Coach Broussard's got talent at Sandia, but he's kind of struggling too.
Winding down here on the show, think we have a couple of minutes left. Alden will let us know. 2 minutes indeed. What are your thoughts on what you've seen district? What intrigues me actually is the girls with District 2 with West Mesa, and you got the two teams up from the Farmington area.
Yeah, I think that's one district that really intrigues me.
And by the way, La Cueva's in that district too.
Right. So, you got La Cueva and Farmington and Piedra Vista and West Mesa. I think it's good, though. I think for Manny Otero, he can go back to practice, West Mesa head coach Manny Otero, and say, we're not as good as, look where we're at. You show them the district standings. We're at the bottom. And I know they've won, X amount of games in a row, but I think that humbles people when you lose. I think it's a good thing sometimes. I don't want to lose every game, but it wakes us up, right? It refocuses us. It remotivates us. It lets us know where the goal is. It's still to get that blue trophy, right? So I think it's a good thing.
Final point, Ed, I got to ask you this. Another team that lost their first district game and seems like they lose early in district, and they're still the favorite or one of the favorites in 5A, and that's Cleveland. They're 1-1 now this year against Volcano Vista, and then the rubber match is going to decide district more than likely.
Well, think about it. I said it comes down to one possession. They threw the ball down. It didn't touch anything, so Volcano Vista gets it back underneath their own basket. So you have to execute on your press offense. They didn't, and it cost them. And Jelante, great shot though. Yeah. One dribble, bam, didn't hesitate.
Pull up over a defender, so very good.
Yeah.
All right, Ed, we'll do this again next week.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks to the crew. Thanks to Alden Iowani as always. For Ed Nunez, I'm Scott Coletti. We will talk to you next Tuesday on the Sports Desk.